What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. So, we're about to drop some jewels on you all tonight about how to deal with your spouse's past relationships. Interesting. Interesting.
Inspired from a great topic. Great question that inspired a great topic for,
Okay.
What could be very, problematic within a relationship. So let's dig on in here.
All right.
I'm going to pull this up on, let's see, on YouTube. This question, of course, Instagram. As always, you can listen on in within what we're saying. And if you want to actually see the question, though, it's on our YouTube. But
Right.
of course, we'll keep you going right along with us.
And as always, this is a live show. This is a live show, and we also welcome live video call-ins, voice chats, text messages, comments, questions, topics while we are on air. So we really appreciate the feedback. And we can digress from the topic as well. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, really appreciate it. My favorite couple. Thank you.
That's so sweet.
Well, tonight you're our favorite subscriber. You're our favorite. Hey, by the way, too.
Family. Everybody's our favorite.
Right.
That joins into the Blueprint family.
Most definitely. But by the way, also too, I think we're three subscribers away from 300 on YouTube. So, I would like to ask if any of you three Instagram followers would love to join in on the HD experience that we have on YouTube currently, what we're streaming in HD, and then also HD quality sound as well. So that is the benefit of the YouTube channel. And then also too, you're able to read the letters that we post or any other graphics or charts or data or whatever have you. So all the visual effects are on the YouTube channel. So go ahead and join there. But the first 3 people who do so now will help us reach 300 subscribers. So there. I just wanted to put that out there. We thank you all.
We got ask.
Yep. So we're growing. And we thank you all. So we do this for you all. This is not our show. This is you all's show.
Right. Y'all are part of the Blueprint family. Just tuning on in. The pure alignment of it. So, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. And the topic is how to deal with your spouse's past relationships. And like my wife said, we have a letter tonight in correlation with this. So let's go ahead and dig on in.
So this question was kind of long, but, gave good detail. The subject was my boyfriend and his ex. Last week, my boyfriend broke up with me because he said I was wrong to reach out to his ex-girlfriend. I think he is overreacting and probably hiding something. I am hoping we can fix it before he moves out. We have been dating my boyfriend for 8 months. He's 32. I'm 27. Last week, while thinking about having a game night at our place, my boyfriend said he wished he hadn't left his ping pong table he had with his ex. I said how we should ask her for it. He laughed at me and said there's no way he could ask her to ship it, but if he's in the area visiting, he might call and ask to see if she still has it. I asked why only he would be visiting and why I couldn't meet her. He asked why I wanted to. I had been waiting for a moment to tell him how I was uncomfortable about his relationship with his ex-girlfriend. They are still friends, follow each other on social media, talk on the phone, and text sometimes too. He has never went into details about why they broke up, just that it was for the best and it was mutual. I asked him if she even knows I exist, so that way she knows her place. He said I was crazy and told me I needed to grow up. He said, if I don't let this go, then we're over. I couldn't let it go because I feel like she still wants him and maybe he's hiding something. I messaged her on Facebook just asking about the ping pong table, and she read my message but didn't respond. I sent another saying that I deserve some respect from her as boyfriend's current girlfriend, and I'd appreciate a response. She reads it and still no response. She sent it to my boyfriend asking why I was messaging her if he wanted something. The next day, he asked me why I did it, and I told him that I needed her to know, and this way we can get his things. He blew up and said I was making problems where there wasn't any, and I said he was choosing her over me. He said he couldn't be with someone who created a drama and broke up with me. Now he's gone. Anything I could do? Girl, not get yourself into this situation. It's emotions. Jealousy. This is jealousy,
Yeah, I mean, so they're broken up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still living together because she's saying.
No, she said he moved out.
No, she's saying I'm hoping we can fix it before he moves out. Yeah.
So they're still living together.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting cohabitation.
Well, okay. Here's my analysis of this, and also my experience as a man. More than likely, he is still communicating with his ex.
Yeah.
About something. The fact of the matter is that he's trying to prevent his current girlfriend. And ma'am, you're just his girlfriend. And understand this boyfriend girlfriend thing is an audition for marriage. And if he can't treat it like so, then more than likely you probably shouldn't. You don't need to be with a person like this.
Right.
He still doesn't understand that concept. And then also too, she's wanting to make sure that the ex girlfriend is understood that she is who he is talking to.
She says, stay in her place.
Right. She want her to stay in her place. So evidently she has some inklings of infidelity dealing with her boyfriend and his communication that he has with his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, because she says they're still friends. They follow each other on social media. They talk on the phone and text sometimes too. So that's she knows. Weird. Yeah, she knows about their conversation. And she in particular, my issue is the fact that she said I had been waiting for a moment to tell him how uncomfortable, she was.
She should have been told it.
Yeah.
You need to tell that immediately. That you're feeling uncomfortable, and then see what. But his reply is probably what he just said. You're crazy. No, don't feel that way. It's okay. It's just a phase or whatever the case may be. That's BS.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, switching back and forth throughout trying to see the messages. So yeah, thank you.
So yeah, if you can join our YouTube, we really appreciate it. So that'll help to run the numbers up to 300. But like I was saying, that is ridiculous. He is hiding something. And in the situation of which he was intentional of being with you, he wouldn't have to hold you back from communicating with her. As a matter of fact, he probably should have broke all lines of communications, and to hell with that ping pong table.
Right.
Just leave it where it's at. If he wants another one, then he needs to go and buy one, buy a brand new one.
Yeah.
Or go to Craigslist and buy someone else's, or what have you. But in that moment in time, what's left over there with his ex needs to live over there with his ex, and he needs to break all lines of communications. You see, the thing is this: if you don't break those lines of communication, it comes off as if you're trying to hold on to something.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you holding on to? If the relationship is over, then there's nothing to hold on to. But what is he holding on to? Access. Mm-hmm. That's what he's holding on to. Access to his ex-girlfriend, communication, her time, her body, or what have you. This guy's trying to be a player. That's what it is, and it's not folding out well for him.
Possibly. For the benefit, I will give him some benefit of the doubt. You know me, but just the fact that he expressed that he didn't care about the ping pong table, like you said. He actually, did say that.
Why he mentioned it?
Well, yeah, he mentioned it, that he left it over there, but with her saying, let's go get it or whatever, he did mention that, he didn't care too much about it. But then he goes into saying, I'm trying to find the page, but then this question was kind of long, but then he goes into saying, I guess that, if he happens to run into her, which is kind of a bit problematic, because it's like, okay,
you're still too close to her.
Right, yeah, for that issue. But for the benefit of the doubt, I guess he wasn't really thinking about it. He did move on, in the sense of, he is living with her, which is another kind of issue, red flag with all of that. But
he's living with his current girlfriend.
Yeah.
So why is that an issue?
Well, it will make me wonder, like, whose place is it? Like,
is it his? Well, evidently it's not, because she said that he can move out. So he's
or he
living with
hasn't
her.
moved out.
So
Yeah.
this guy's that's a red flag on its own. I don't condone
Mhm.
men actually moving in with girlfriends.
Right. He goes from one girlfriend house to the next girlfriend house. So that's kind of like,
Right. He need to get his life together. At the age of
yeah,
32,
right.
age
Yeah.
of 32, he should be approaching a situation where he has financial what do you call it? Security,
Stability, yeah.
stability. Yeah,
Mhm.
there you go. Thank you, honey.
Mhm.
He should be having financial stability in his early 30s. And it doesn't clearly see. I mean, I clearly don't see that.
Yeah.
If he did, he'll be able to buy his own ping pong table or what have you. But
Yeah.
that is an excuse. So that, I
Yeah.
mean,
Slight digression, but still kind of like,
mhm.
something you got to pay attention to.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
because those are red flags, and then
Yeah.
also too, you need a barometer to check what stage of his life is he in. Is he a
Mhm.
really grown man?
Yeah.
And then him trying to call her out and say that she's immature about all of this shows too that he is not yet
Yeah.
a man in the situation of wanting to be mature himself
Yeah.
about his of his intentions, and also too
Mhm.
what's clear, not clear, but what his intentions are with her, and then also the real reason of what she's doing. He
Yeah.
needs to be more sympathetic to her feelings and understand.
Yeah,
that-
mainly understanding.
yeah, he
Like,
needs to
yeah,
be more
especially if he
understanding.
wants to be with you. Like,
Right.
if it's genuine and like, it's just so how cavalier he's willing to just throw this relationship away over
Over
her just messaging over,
the
a ping
ex.
pong tip. Yeah,
Right.
like, and then the whole thing of, oh, I mean, I get it. That would, as a woman, of course, make you upset because you're like, dude, like, why are you just acting like this? And then on top of it, when I go mention your girlfriend, she ain't even showing me, she ain't even saying nothing to me. Though I may say it's not the ex-girlfriend's job to talk to you. She ain't really got to say nothing to you because, quite frankly, I mean, she has a little valid point there. It is the boyfriend's, ping pong table. So if it's his, he should have been the one to, hit her up about it. It's just a whole lot of communication issues with this whole.
Well, another thing too is that I wonder how long he broke up with his girlfriend and how long they were together, because he's
Right.
still
Did she
having.
mention?
No, I don't think she mentioned that, but you have to understand here too. It takes a while to get over somebody, and they were okay. So they his new situation, their new situation, they've been
8
only dating
months,
for 8
yeah.
months. Okay, so understand that the longer you date somebody, the harder it is to break up with them, and to break that physical, spiritual attachment that you have with that person.
Yeah.
So evidently he must have had a relationship with his past girlfriend for a while, to the point to where he's not yet to break lines of communication.
Yeah.
That's a natural thing. But the thing is that you have to be very mature about your current situation, making sure that you healed from your past traumas before you get into one.
Mhm.
He's easily making his current girlfriend look like a rebound.
Right. Yeah.
With no intentions of actually being with her.
Yeah, with this whole amicable, still friends, maybe still even trying to figure it out type thing. I don't know. It's a lot with it. That, again, that's what kind of makes all of this little. It's, of course, we always recommend you could request to join live or like be on camera, but I understand some people can be a little intimidated with that. But it's just easier to get a little more details to really understand like where, what's really kind of going on, maybe get a little more perspective on his side, because there's always two sides to the story. So I mean, yeah, with all of this, it just, yeah.
I mean, to me, come on, being a man and
Yeah.
understanding that dynamic and what he's going through, that's all he's trying to do. That's pretty much what he's trying to do. He's still trying to hold on to his past ex. They the memories they had, with the sunken cost fallacy that you talk about. Maybe he invested a lot of time and money into her and their relationship, and they didn't work out because of things that he possibly have done.
Right.
And that's what it's looking like. He's looking like he didn't do well in that last relationship, and he's trying to keep lines of access towards his ex, and then he's not doing right by his current girlfriend, and he has not yet to mature. So
that is true. I think maturity plays a huge part in all of this.
And my advice to her is that she needs to just move on. She's already delegated 8 months into this relationship with this guy, and if he shows off like this, then he has no real intention of being with you.
Yeah.
So you don't waste your time on someone like this, because the trust isn't there.
Right.
You know, what is he
Yeah.
doing to build trust with you about
Mhm.
this situation?
Even a simple conversation, you know, like I think she, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes when I read this, I kind of pass by some things, but I think she mentioned that he hadn't even talked about why they broke up. And I think that was, yeah, he has never went into details about why they broke up, just that it was
The
for the
best.
best and it was mutual.
Right. Yeah. Someone
Yeah.
cheated, more than likely him, and he don't want to talk about it.
Maybe, but just that whole
That's what it's
cloud
I'm
of,
just saying.
yeah, maybe, but just that whole thing in general, the question is gonna be causing some insecurity within her, you know,
Right.
like not having that knowing the closure, the understanding of kind of what's gone on. And we've always talked about this. You have to get comfortable with talking about these uncomfortable things, even if that means your past relationships, especially if it's something that's problematic for the future and it's going to come up. You have to be open to talking about it if it really is an issue.
Right. Now he would have what would have helped him was that the fact that if he would have not had any communication with his ex at all,
Yeah.
then he wouldn't even have to explain what happened in his past relationship, and she probably wouldn't even thought of it. If he's a good guy, he's
Mhm.
doing everything that he's supposed to do in the relationship. They're
Yeah.
helping each other out, and they're moving them right along. She could care
Mhm.
less.
Right.
So
Yeah.
action speaks louder than the words
Gosh.
that he's speaking. But that'll, you know, just take note there. Those are some jewels that I dropped right there for those guys out there who came incorrect in their last relationship, trying to start in a new relationship. Just make sure that you do everything that you can do right by the person that you're with, and so that they don't have to dig too deep into the past relationship.
Yeah, stay focused on the present. That's
Right.
what I always think about, like when it comes to your current relationships. If you can really just focus on each other in that present moment, then it just really makes it less likely for the past to come in and, you know, really bother with things. Because I don't know,
Right.
that's
Because that's called karma. So that's
Mhm.
what's happening. You know,
Yeah, because you're like
even
toying with two
though
people's hearts.
right, even though he messed up his past relationship, possibly, possibly, it can still be unresolved karma that's carrying forward because he's still having this connection with his ex, with his
Mhm.
bad past.
Yeah.
So he's carried it through, and that's a spiritual aspect of what you can see here that's going
Yeah.
on with this guy. He really needs to ground himself and get himself together, so that he is marriage fit. So
Yeah.
he's thinking with intention of being someone's husband and
Yeah.
acting accordingly.
Yeah, legitly being in the position to even wanting a girlfriend. Like I always think about that. Like make sure if you are, you know, wanting to date and stuff, make sure you're in the right place. Spend that time taking care of getting yourself up as a man and building yourself up as a man. That's really important, not only just for you definitely, but even for you to be able to step into that husband role. If you're not ready for that maturity mentally, you know, physically, having a place for this woman, like, you know, not moving in with the woman. I don't really, you know, I think you've mentioned that before, and I really agree with you there. Like a man should never move in with the girl. Like it just, I don't know. It just the
No,
dynamic starts off kind of weird
right,
there. Yeah.
right, and then you allowing to you see, and the thing is that that whole dynamic of not moving in with a female, things could happen and she can kick you out, and a man needs to be really committed to a relationship. And it really means a lot when he invites a female into his living space.
Yeah.
So you have to mean that. You have to really have all
Mhm.
intention of actually wanting to be with this female before you let a female live with you. So
Mhm.
that's the reason why that needs to happen. That a
Yeah.
man invites the female in because he needs to be really intentional about his actions.
Yeah.
And
And ready
and
to be a
ready.
provider,
Right.
you know, like to actually show forth. Like, why would God entrust you with the whole wife and you ain't even got nowhere to put her? Like, you know, like
Right.
that's.
And then also too, dealing with the modern female, the modern woman, understand that this boyfriend girlfriend dynamic is a audition for marriage. The
Mhm.
man needs to fulfill his roles, but also too in his domain, in his home, his apartment.
Yeah.
He needs to see how well she can navigate the house as a wife, as far as helping to do her wifely duties, and also him helping out to see what their dynamic is like together, cooking, cleaning, taking care of chores and things like that.
Right.
So he has to make sure that the female can also fit into his schedule.
Yep.
Or his life, rather, into his life.
Yeah. That's
respectfully.
Yeah. That's pretty for this question, of course we're gonna dive into making it more general for our audience, like watching out, because this is a topic where it could play out a little different because it's really situational when you're talking about dealing with the past and stuff like that. But overall, in general, it's not uncommon for a woman to struggle with their man's past relationships, especially if he's still friends, or they maybe were childhood friends, or like something like the ex-girlfriends is best friends with the sister or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's so many dynamics that can come into play with this. So we're definitely going to get into how to deal with this in general if this is a healthy relationship. But for this, in this specific case, like you said, it's a lot. She really has to sit back and consider, is this worth even you stepping forth and apologizing? Because that's really what a lot of this would entail, you stepping forward, apologizing, admitting your mistakes. He did even warn you, I'm gonna have to hold you to that accountability. He did warn you and say, hey, if you didn't stop, then he would leave, like, if I'm not mistaken. And you mentioned that. So that's something that, when a man tells you something, you don't like test that. Like, women gotta stop doing that. Stop testing the man. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a little difference between
Well, I mean, the thing,
friendly, I don't know.
Right.
You get what
I
I'm saying?
mean,
Like, kinda,
the fact is this: they're not married yet,
yeah,
so they don't have any real obligation or any contractual agreement to be together.
yeah,
So, they can do, she can do whatever she wants to do in
yeah,
this case, but the result will show whether he would really want to be with her or not.
yeah.
But to me, this here isn't a deal breaker. She's just trying to secure her relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and he's showing signs of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why she acted in the way that she did. He did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read anything to show that he tried to reinforce his security in his relationship.
Right. He just said you're being immature or whatever. I don't want to misquote her, but whatever he said, basically the whole, if you don't let this go, then, he was going to leave her. Yeah. He said, if I don't let this go. Yeah. Oh, that she needed to grow up, and that, if you don't let this go, then it's over. I mean, that's certainly not that conversation that you need to be.
Yeah, you don't say that. You
Yeah.
ask, what is the problem here? What is the issue here?
Yeah.
Like what is it that we can discuss and talk about? From her words, it wasn't any of that. He's just
Right.
basically trying to tell her to shut up and be quiet, because if you're not, then I'm gonna leave you.
Right.
And that is not a sign of maturity at all.
Not for a good relationship.
No.
That's going to need that communication and that compromise.
Right.
Especially if the feelings are valid. And again, like even yesterday, we talked about some of the attachment styles that people may have. This kind of leads us right into some of the reasons why a woman, in general, would be uncomfortable with their man's past relationships. And of course, this can apply for men as well, why some men would be uncomfortable with the woman's past relationships. But in particular, insecurity, that's a huge one. Like you were saying, some women may feel insecure about themselves and their relationship with their man in general. So then with that insecurity, especially if it's coupled on to like an anxious attachment style or something like that, just him talking on the phone or liking the ex's pictures or anything of that nature will certainly trigger her and make her feel like you would eventually leave her or cheat on her, or even that you're still interested in the ex. So it's certainly going to lead to some jealousy and resentment. And like you said, he has to be aware of how that behavior would impact her. And if he loves her, then be willing to compromise with that, set up some boundaries, or find that sweet soft spot. Yeah.
Yep. And then also too, fear of abandonment. So if a woman has been abandoned by a spouse in the past, she may be more likely to struggle with her man's past relationships.
Yeah.
She may worry that he will eventually abandon her too. And this fear can lead to jealousy and possessiveness.
Mm-hmm. And that's the possessiveness is strong here, because it's like,
she's texting and Facebooking the other girl and
know your place. Like,
right.
I felt that. I mean, I get it, but this again lies in a lot of fear. A comfortable, secure attachment with your spouse won't feel like the need to assert your dominance,
like a fight
yeah,
all the time.
yeah, to who this man is. Like, this
Right.
is my man. Like, you won't need to do all of that because you should feel secure in your relationship. Now, of course, like we talked about yesterday, if there is some attachment styles going along with this, it is important for the spouse to be able to offer some reassurance, especially if you really are for your spouse and you don't want them to feel jealous and you don't want them to, get possessive and stuff like that. You want to give them that confirmation, like, hey, you don't have nothing to worry about. Like, maybe this is just a friend or yada, yada, yada. But, also too, unresolved issues on the woman's part from like past relationships that needs to be resolved so that in a way you're not bringing those issues into the current relationship, because even though in this case in particular she has a lot of valid reasonings to have some insecurity around that current relationship, but if she didn't, it would look more like trying to bring in what happened to the past and kind of like projecting it onto the new man, which is unfair in the long run because, he didn't do that to you. There was nothing warranted for you to feel jealous or anything of that nature. But, in this particular case, it certainly is. So you got to be mindful of if this is even something you want to stay in, especially with the responses that he's, given with all of that.
Yeah. And then also too, cultural factors. In some cultures, it is considered taboo for women to talk about their past relationships. This can lead to feelings of shame and secrecy if they want to actually talk about their past relationships or their spouse's past, which can in turn lead to more jealousy and insecurity.
Yeah, I learned about that one in particular with cultural differences a lot with like Latin American cultures and stuff like that. It's a really shush type thing where if you're going through something or you have some type of blow up or you had your past be a certain type of way, something happening, you don't talk about that, at all. But in a way that's unhealthy because you want to be able to. Jealousy is normal. That is a normal emotion. Yeah, it is a normal human emotion. But it is important to handle this in a healthy way. If you aren't being able to process what you're feeling, acknowledging it, expressing it, communicating with it, especially within a whole relationship, then you're certainly not going to be able to handle those emotions and they're going to overtake you. That's what's going to turn into that insecurity, those possessiveness, that the crazy stalking and all that other stuff. You just.
It's important to control those.
Your mental health will decline.
Those emotions,
or let them control you,
right?
And dictate your whole relationship.
I mean, especially for men in that particular case, men need to know how to control your emotions. I think it's a sign of weakness if a man shows jealousy. Although all emotions are healthy. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, an overjealous man. That can be very dangerous. I mean, overly jealous anybody can be dangerous.
Yeah,
because I forgot what I was watching. I was watching one of those shows last night while you were asleep, dealing with a guy who won. He was a millionaire, and then his wife tried to put a hit out on him. I didn't finish it. Yeah, his wife put a hit out on him because her boyfriend got out of prison. And he knew nothing about this guy. And he was in prison for 10 years. And somehow I went to sleep at the part where the husband got out. And then her sister got caught walking a mile away from the crime scene. And she somehow got tied into it. And she had $24,000 in her pocket. And she tried to say that she was kidnapped by the boyfriend. But the wife had something to do it too with the boyfriend, but she got kidnapped into it. So I didn't even finish it. It was just crazy. Like, you would marry somebody, you're a millionaire, and then her ex-boyfriend gets out of prison and she conspires with him to get rid of her current husband. Crazy.
That was plotting the whole time. That was.
Yeah, but you're a millionaire.
Millionaires can be victims too, in the sense of plotted on. If anything, you a target. You could be a target.
Yeah, but his wife,
especially for this. Exactly. That means he didn't vet that woman correctly. Like,
but she could. Her mind was so jaded because of her past relationship, her ex. Her ex-boyfriend who just got out of prison. And she's going to give up being a millionaire, and it was a black couple too. That was the crazy thing about it. That
Well, she wasn't trying to give up the millionaire pot. She was trying to
she
take
was
out
trying
the
to take the man. Yeah, she was
Mhm.
wanted to take his money. And this was when the police asked her about it. She showed no remorse. She was very cavalier, and then was
Mhm.
like, she really had something to do with it. But at the time, they couldn't tie it to her, pin it on.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was watching, but it was very interesting. But anyways, we speak.
That's tough. Like that's yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you see that happen. Jealousy and past ex relationships can be very dangerous, can become very violent. I've seen it, heard it. Heard about people dealing with
We
past
have
relationships.
friends that have gone through stuff like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Speaking of that
That ended
situation, I
really
know
bad.
somebody who that kind of happened to. Their girlfriend, boyfriend got out of prison and walked in on them in the house, and he took the guy out. Some guy that I knew worked with. But it's just sad that you have to be very careful dealing with people's past.
Yeah.
And dealing with these exes in their relationships.
You do. You really, really, really do. But, back to kind of the healthier way of dealing with jealousy.
Right.
Because that is certainly the unhealthy way of dealing with it. And it's not funny. The type of way I handle a lot of stuff is I will laugh about it, try to make a light of it, try to help usher in that higher energy of it, but it's certainly not funny. Something like that is real, and it's you have to learn healthier ways of dealing with your emotions. And this is one situation where, in particular, the earlier you talk to your spouse about jealousy, about insecurities, about all of this, then the better you all are able to figure out what's going on. And in particular with this woman, if y'all have been together for like 8 months, when was this first incident that happened where you seen the ex-girlfriend kind of pushing your boundaries or whatever? The earlier, if this was really early in your relationship, you likely could have been able to avoid all of this from the very beginning, especially if you would have brought it up earlier and said, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable with this. I think we should set up some boundaries, yada, yada, yada. If he doesn't like it, if he's not okay with that, respect him for that. And then you move on, and you wouldn't have wasted 8 whole months in the situation feeling uncomfortable about something. So that's just my whole deal with this. You really have to talk to your spouse and let them know how you're feeling early, super, super early. Maybe even bring up the whole, if culturally you're more open to it, bring up past experiences and all that other stuff. Maybe even just to learn about what the lessons your spouse learned from their past. What are the things that they're going to do different? What are the things that they learned along the way of having a failed relationship? What are how that will look, because that's important. But when it comes to we do want to talk about, if you are going to have this conversation, and you need to have this conversation, maybe not this person in particular, but for anyone who is dealing with jealousy and insecurity about a past relationship, you have to get specific on the details that you're going through. You have to be able to express this in a way that's non-judgmental, though. You want to have your spouse be supportive and understanding to that. So you don't want to wait until a moment like this where she's already upset that he's pushing her off, saying, oh, I'm not gonna talk to her right now or whatever, I'll go see her. When a moment when you're already hot and upset about things is certainly not the time to try to have this conversation. So although she says I was waiting for the right moment, that was the wrong moment to wait for, because you get yourself in a situation where like this. But better late than never, because at least you had the conversation. But overall, check out our video that we had on jealousy in a relationship. We kind of went through how specifically it's good timing to go into and having this conversation about jealousy and insecurity. So I would really go into that, because we kind of dug into that a little deeper. Kind of don't really have the time for it tonight though, but just making sure you're having the right timing for these conversations. The earlier the better, and certainly not when you're upset already about it. So that's just one thing to think about.
Right. And also too, trust is essential for a healthy relationship. I will say that again. Trust is essential for a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you trust your spouse before you try to move on from their past. And I'll even say you need to make sure you trust your spouse before you try to move in with them. So
Yes.
if you don't
Yeah.
trust your spouse, it would be very difficult to deal with their past relationships,
Mhm.
or either just difficult to deal with them. Why do people move in with people they
They
don't
don't
trust?
trust. Yeah, that's
That's
your personal space that you are putting in jeopardy. Like that is, you got to be more careful. Y'all got to be more careful. That's how you
right.
get into those situations, you know?
Right.
Like,
I mean, that was an opportunity for him to build trust in his relationship and
yeah.
say, honey, yeah, go ahead and ask her all these questions. I don't care. Matter of fact, yeah, I deleted all the messages and I'm not friends with her and lost her phone number, what have you. And that was the proper, explanation, as opposed to, no, you don't need to contact her, and if you do, I'm gonna break up with you. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's obvious. Like, you're
Yeah.
really trying to
Yeah,
play her.
but I say all of this again, it goes right back to she should have asked this earlier. Ask him to be transparent with you.
My thing is this: she couldn't see this. Is you after all of that, you couldn't
Yeah.
see that you need to leave this guy. She's still trying to. How can I? What was her question? How to fix this, or is this something that, what was her question at the end?
I'm hoping we can fix things before he
moves
moves out.
out.
That was the first.
No, don't fix that. No, let him go. Because that's one thing. Now he's gone.
Now he's gone. Anything I could do.
Yeah, you need to heal yourself. That's what you need to do next, is work on healing yourself. Luckily, this was only.
What she means by now he's gone.
He left. Now he's gone. They broke up.
Oh, but he didn't move his stuff out. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a horrible person as far as packing. He packs part of his stuff and he leaves it everywhere.
That's that floating stuff.
He's a nomad.
Yeah,
he doesn't have
no stability, no roots.
You don't
men have your roots,
right? And women also too practice discernment. Don't be picking guys up who got stuff everywhere. All this, their clothes and over one person house.
Mama house, some at mama, daddy. Yeah.
Use discernment. Don't go for guys like this, because if they're unorganized with their stuff, more than likely their lives are unorganized, and the people they hang out with. Practice discernment. It don't take. All the good looks in the world shouldn't be a reason why you with somebody. It's more than that. You need to see them in a better light as far as a person, making sure that they're able to provide and protect for you, and then their intentions are clear on being with you.
Yeah. Yep. And if they are willing to be transparent with you, then it will certainly be easier for you to trust them.
This guy ain't transparent at all. He's trying to hide everything. He hid the fact he had a pool table, a ping pong table at an ex-girlfriend house. I mean, and then he just buy another one. Damn.
Right. Yeah.
You find those all day on Craigslist. I mean, I'm guessing, I don't know. But it seems like a Craigslist item.
Yeah.
And you just go up there and find a ping pong table. Don't everybody play ping pong table every day. I'm pretty sure there's somebody selling one right now. And I'm going to go look after I get off of here just to prove my point. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's one of those yard sale items,
Yeah.
It takes up a lot of space and what have you, know.
That's actually how you can know if this person is able to be trusted, if they are willing to be transparent with you, and then also pay attention to their behavior. If they are trustworthy, then they will be consistent with their actions and their words. They won't be acting like they're hiding anything, and they certainly will be respectful of your boundaries and your feelings. That's all what a relationship is about, truth be told. He's going to want you to respect him and his boundaries, so he should have some respect for yours too. And if he is not willing to do that, then that is not the guy. You kind of need to be careful.
And then also too, the boundaries shouldn't be disrespectful,
right?
Exactly. And this way is hiding communications with his ex after he's been in an 8-month relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
He's trying to, but the thing is this also too. If she sees enough qualities in this man to actually want to be with him, then she's going to have to fight for this relationship. But if she does not, and he's not showing any signs of intention, then she needs to leave.
Yeah.
To
Maybe
be
at
honest
the
with
end we'll
you.
give some tips on how she can fight. Because I mean, this is, to me, truth be told, this is an easy way to kind of apologize and get him, back on, get back on his good side. So I'll go through that maybe a little bit. I'll think about that. Let me marinate on that a little bit on how she could if
I
he
wouldn't
does.
advise it though.
But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
It could. I mean, it couldn't. There's a small probability that this could work out. But they will have to struggle through a lot of emotional things, a lot of past situations and unresolved issues.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Especially this is because this created an issue here. I mean, this is they don't trust each other. So
right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, trust is big. That's super essential. You have to have it. And you don't want it to be iffy, something you're scared about.
Right. I mean, because you don't, automatically you don't, when you meet somebody, you don't trust them anyway. But you can honestly say that you can build a relationship with that person and build the trust with them as well.
If they're showing you.
I think they were making the right moves to move in at 8 months and trying to see whether the relationship was going to work or not. But all their trust is out the window. It really is. But anyways,
it makes me wonder where the rest of his stuff is for him to just how you just go. I don't know. That was just a quick thought, kind of.
Maybe you don't have a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I was all speculating. But nonetheless, don't compare yourself to your spouse's past and their past exes. Don't do that. Everyone's different. Your spouse's exes aren't perfect. If they were, they'd still be together. So I mean, you can't really spend a lot of time comparing yourself to them. So in particular, just with this woman, I would really try to figure out what was triggering you so much about the relationship. Maybe I don't know if there was some insecurity within yourself, if you already I don't know, something's got to be.
It was him.
Yeah, certainly.
Him giving all the signs of insecurity.
Yeah, well, making it more, and I guess, but making her more insecure. But it just makes me. You can't compare yourself to your exes. Your spouse's exes. You can't. So I don't know. Some women, I think of, some women that would just like fantasize like, oh, she was so much prettier, or, and then that just sends you down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out like why
who she was.
And why he's not with her, or, it's just, or why they didn't work out, or why he's even with you. It sends you down a rabbit hole of just negative thought, negative talk. Like it's not positive. So don't even go down that whole route of just trying to compare or
if your situation is good.
Yeah.
If your situation is good now, don't even think about.
I think if it's bad, I wouldn't even do it either, because what's the point? Like that.
Well, that could be where the drama and the trauma coming from.
What do you mean? Like
if he's showing signs of being secretive and hiding his phone and hiding in closets to take phone calls and going into the bathroom to do text messages.
That's him. Yeah, that's her. That would be, or her. Sometimes the woman is doing the same thing. Yeah, right. So we're not
going in the car to talk on the phone all the time, or whatever the case. They come home and sit on the phone in the car after work for about an hour and a half.
Correct. Yeah.
You wondering what he's doing in the car?
Yeah, you got to pay attention to those signs for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Because then you could really just be overlooking some things that are really your gut maybe telling you like, hey, this ain't a good situation for you to be
her womanly intuition is.
Yeah, men got that too. A man would know if this woman ain't, something ain't right.
Well, for men, we but we more so need to. We find out physically.
Yeah, by paying attention.
Recording, we're actually discovering the phone, and stuff like that. A lot of times it goes over our head until we see things physically happening and taking place and changes and things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
When we're just, that's how we are.
Yeah. I think one thing for that would be to pay attention to like regular behavior patterns. After you've been with the person for a certain amount of time, you should know like, why how they are around certain times. And if one time they just seem overly happy and don't tell you about it, don't want to share it with you or something like that, just be mindful of little things like that. Something could be going on. Nonetheless, back onto topic. Of course, remember to focus on your present and don't dwell on the past when it comes to your relationship. it's really about that present moment and what you're doing with your spouse now. Your spouse is with you now, having that reaffirming talk within yourself. Like, hey, I'm loving all the great things that we have about our relationship, all the things that we're doing. You know, celebrate your successes, celebrate those positive traits that's going on. And if you don't have them, that is another clue that, hey, this relationship is probably not what you think it is. You could probably be wrapped up in those old lovey-dovey feelings, that, you know, that honeymoon phase of endorphins and dopamine and all that. They said that lasts up to like 2 years.
Right.
So you
Yep.
could still be in those little sweet honeymoon phases where you just
But
overlooking all the red flags.
right, right. I mean, but also too, you know, understanding the human dynamic and how we carry,
Mhm.
talk, you know, do relationships.
Yeah.
Their honeymoon phase, like you said, lasts 2 years. So, like I was going back again and talking about breakups. So, you know,
Mhm.
those effects and those feelings can also last multiple years as well. So,
Yeah. Yep. That is so, so true. So that's just one thing to really be mindful of. Also, to focusing on like your own commitments and reaffirming these commitments within your relationship, that's also very positive for you to do within your relationship. So hopefully, if these situations come up, they, in a healthy relationship, in a secure attached relationship, it should look more like having that conversation, and then you guys reaffirming each other, reassuring each other, setting up the boundaries that you need to set up, and then being able to move forward. Like my husband says, the exes being in the picture, what is the real reason for it? What's going on? If it's something like, you guys are best friends for like since childhood and y'all only dated one time when in elementary school, like little things like that, maybe a little different. And maybe if you're willing, you guys can work out how you can still have that friendship, man or woman, and still have a good relationship and maybe even become friends. It just really depends on each individual situation, but both spouses have to be willing to sit down and talk about it. You cannot have a relationship if one spouse is just like, oh, get over it, and the other one is like, no, it just doesn't work that way. That's
right.
not
Yeah,
a
it takes
relationship.
understanding.
Yeah, you really do, on both parts. Men can't be all hard up about it, and women too. Like, you really have to be empathetic with each other and understanding. Like, if I don't want my spouse to do this to me, then hey, I'm not gonna do that to them. I'm gonna try to see it, from their side as well. Because yeah, it's gonna be needed. Compromise is needed in every part of a relationship. Ain't no way around it. So just get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, also to seek professional help if needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're struggling to deal with your spouse's past relationships on your own, you may want to seek professional help. So, a therapist can help you to understand your feelings and to develop healthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah, as we always say, whenever we recommend therapists, vet them out. Maybe even consider like older married couple. We offer counseling, not counseling, but consultations as well, to where they're problem based, focusing on the problem and working towards the solution. Not so much, just dwelling so much on feelings, because a lot of times, feelings can get you a little distracted. So if you could really get down in understanding healthy coping mechanisms of what you're actually feeling and working towards solutions with your spouse, that's going to be super, super helpful if you all are struggling to actually figure out. Like I said, that's probably more so for those real complicated, this my best friend, situations. I don't know. But again, every situation is different, and men and women have to be just respectful of that. I guess one that I kind of thought of not so long recently, a girl, she had a gay best friend, and the her boyfriend was uncomfortable still with the relationship because he would do things like smack her on the butt and like things that wasn't appropriate, that you wouldn't even want any man to do it.
Where her friend is being disrespectful.
Yeah, exactly. But this girl was just like, oh, but this is my best friend, and like, you can't look at, he gay or whatever. But that's something you have to consider. If that friendship is worth you losing your relationship, what do you value more? Do you value that friendship, or you value that relationship
with your spouse?
Really, so really was gonna have to come down to, And that's not something that's, if it's all serious, if this friend is something you really care about, it's,
Set boundaries.
yeah,
Set boundaries.
firm boundaries. Yeah. That
only come over with
Yeah.
my husband here. Don't do stuff like that. You got to chill out.
Yeah.
It's doing too much.
Oh.
Because vice versa. So what if the opposite happened? The husband had a female friend who was a lesbian that was over the house, and he was smacking her tail all over the house. How would she feel? You get what I'm saying? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, people have to think about stuff like that. Like, is that friendship really worth it? If it's not, truth be told, I think, I love your friendships with your guys, but you don't have that many. I mean, you have some friends that I have come to get to know that came from your childhood and stuff, but it was never uncomfortable. It was always that secure attachment that we've had in our relationship. So,
well, all of it was explained.
Yeah.
It was able to be explained easily, and there was no secrets.
Yeah, and you got to be confident in that, and in your spouse. You have to be able to build that trust with them. And if they say that it is what it is, let it be what it is, and don't dwell so much on that. But of course, if they're not giving you any reason to trust them and stuff, then hey, be sure to take heed to that and move on. If it's not something you're willing to deal with, if they're not budging on compromising, then take heed to that. And in particular, this guy hasn't said anything about wanting to compromise. It seems like he chose the friend over you. Clearly. The ex-girlfriend, friend, whatever. Clearly over you. That's what happened. I mean, he's gone.
Point blank.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you got to take that for what it is, and let it be. It's unfortunate, but hey, this could be a lucky thing. Like, this could be something that you needed. You probably was ignoring signs for 8 whole months.
Now, it would be different. It would be different if he was clear with her.
Yeah.
And said that, hey, I'm struggling trying to deal with my ex. And in fact, matter of fact, we still communicate at times. Or if he was, just straight up with her and say, hey, I'm dating you and my ex. And,
yeah. Then you at least would know.
No, yeah, whether you want to compete or not, because if a man comes into that situation that way and he's being honest, and so therefore your position and where you at in the relationship between all of y'all, then that's up to you whether you want to play that game or not.
Right.
So he's being fair, he's being transparent to you, and if he said that possibly I could be with you, I just don't know yet, then hey, that's up to you if you want to play that game.
Right.
Because especially if you're not talking to anybody and that's all you can find, I would say good luck.
Mm-hmm.
But it may not be easy. It may not be easy trying to win this guy over, but unfortunately these are the situations that women face. You see them come to having to with a lack of men in the vicinity. Often at times women have to compete for men.
Mm-hmm.
and what have you. So it's a realistic thing,
Yeah, just make
especially
sure
on dating apps.
That. Yeah,
especially on dating apps, the number to men to women is outrageous. As far as dating, because men are more likely with dating about 5 to 8 women on a dating app, and women are dating around 2 guys or whatnot. So there's a lot of competition up there. So don't think that you're the first person to come across this other person.
You think that might have maybe shifted? I wonder, I haven't checked on the recent statistics of that, but I wonder if that has kind of like shifted, if like men aren't getting as many matches, or if it's like the top guys getting like certain.
Oh, it is. It's
always.
It's just like high school. It's just like high school. All the cool guys got the girls. So whatever the dating thing looks like on the app, the guy who's blinging the most and shining the most and got the coolest car and the lifestyle is very extravagant, they're getting all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like that. First impressions. You don't know this guy. You don't know nothing else about this guy other than all the pictures, and that's where the people flock to. I'm pretty sure the guy who looks very normal is not getting all the swipes or checks or whatever the hell is going on these dating apps.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be the best person that's on that app if you get to talk to him and figure out what he's like and what he's looking for and what his intentions are. Because more than likely, these people and their intentions on these dating apps is just to, find somebody to just be convenient with.
Yeah.
and that's about it.
Yeah.
It don't really go that far, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
because of all the options, or
Yeah.
or what do you call it, or the
The illusion of
illusion
options.
of options.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. On a brighter note, maybe for if you just are naturally dealing with some type of jealousy or insecurity, maybe you are in a good relationship and say, for example, just to play devil's advocate here, like I said a little bit, if you are a woman who made a mistake and got overly jealous, overly insecure of some type of ex relationship, and you want to make amends with your man. One, of course, I don't know if how much this would apply to this woman because you want this man to be worthy of you making amends. You really do. You want him to be worth this and to really have put forth the effort to want to work with you and move forward in your relationship in a healthy way. If this guy is showing you this, or even this girl, maybe it's a girl that this happened to, of course, acknowledge your jealousy. You got to be upfront. You got to be honest. You got to be able to acknowledge your mistakes, however you may have acted out. Be able to acknowledge that, and explain why it happened. Explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling, what feelings caused this to happen, what took place that made you maybe in the past some insecurities, some fear of abandonment, whatever may have triggered you to feel this way. You got to talk about it and take responsibility for your actions, and then accept them and express remorse. Get your spouse to really see that you are genuinely sorry, in particular, like with her, if reaching out to the friend, okay, reaching out to like the friend or whatever, like you gotta express that remorse, the whole like
Stepping out of line.
yeah, especially after he said, oh, okay, thank you. But yeah, especially after he said don't reach out or don't
right,
that you kind of can't do that, especially if a guy tells you, that's a boundary that he put on you that you kind of crossed.
right.
Yeah, which isn't really good. And of course, ask for your forgiveness. You got to be honest. Don't just say I'm sorry. Really explain what you're sorry for, and again why you did what you did, and even how your actions hurt your spouse. Acknowledge that, validate that, let them know the true reasonings behind it. But this is going to come as a slight contradiction for the woman in particular. Try to be brief with it, like don't be all long drawn out with it too much. Kind of get straight to the point, and
concise,
be respectful,
be concise, because we talked about that before. A lot of men, we speak and we like to be concise about situations and factual information.
Yeah.
Also do be respectful. So even if you're angry with your spouse, it is important to be respectful. Of course, I like to say be professional in your relationship. So don't yell at them or call names. Also make amends if possible. Try to make amends for your mistakes. This could mean apologizing, like my wife said before. Apologize to the spouse's family or friend, or doing some other things to show that that you care, and then you are apologetic.
Yeah, especially if it's like you disrespected the friend, like in the midst of, like, because I don't mean no harm, like the woman going out, although you were triggered and upset, it's disrespectful even to the ex-girlfriend to just go hit her up and be like, you need to know your place, and like that's rude. It's disrespectful. It's not ladylike. I don't care. I mean, it is. It's not. But I get it though. I understand you.
Yeah, you gotta have reserve.
You
gotta be reserved about your emotions, and then also to be ladylike, like my wife said.
Yeah.
And don't be too forward in trying to search and seek and find things.
Wait for that moment. That moment might come where you can,
because you want to be factual. You want to be factual, and I don't think she got any facts out of doing any of that.
Right, because she didn't even respond. And in the end,
and then made her look like a fool.
Yeah, got you madder.
So ultimately, be patient. So it may take some time for your spouse to forgive you. So don't give up on them. Continue to show them that you are sorry, and you're committed to making things right.
That's if they're worthy.
Right.
If
you're
that's a good,
if you're trying to recover and try to make this relationship work, this is what these things what we're stating is what it is going to look like and what it takes.
Yeah.
And also it's important to address the root of your jealousy. So if you're insecure, you may need to work on building your self-esteem. You need to build the trust in the relationship.
Yeah.
Especially if you're afraid of abandonment, you may need to work on developing trust in your relationship with your spouse. So once you have addressed the root cause of the jealousy, you'll be less likely to act on it in the future. Two things I wanted to add to this. Also, too, after all of that, you've kissed and made up, assert your boundaries. So reestablish boundaries in this relationship, understand what lines to cross and what not to cross. And then also to hold accountability. So hold each other accountable for these things, and because you don't want to be in a cycle of always get into an argument because he goes back and he relapse and he's talking to his ex again, hiding and sitting on the floor in a closet somewhere. And you don't want that to happen. No. So at that moment in time, you've already addressed your boundaries and hold those boundaries up high in this type of relationship, and then call it quits if it doesn't happen or if it doesn't work out. Because how often are you going to do this? This is how you get those 4-year-long relationships or 8-year relationships with no marriage. It's because you all are in and out doing this stuff to each other over and over again, and you all don't set boundaries. You don't have a marriage vision, and you all are not dating each other with the intention for marriage and actually being honest and trusting to each other. So don't let this be you. Don't let this happen to you. If you know somebody who this is happening to, please share this video with them, because they need to see what steps they need to take in order to make amends in their relationship. Yes. And so also how to fix it. So
yes, certainly.
You know, with that being said,
if it's worth it.
Right. And if it's worth it, you know.
I want to keep saying that because we did, again, we wanted to make it general information for other.
We had some comments or questions or something.
In the where? Hold on. The chat?
No. This Go thing. Ahead. What is this?
That ain't. Oh, that's
that's nothing.
That's the Flow Connect thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, with that general information, though, this was definitely for those who are in healthy relationships that may be dealing with, you know, that little bit of jealousy and stuff. Again, all of that really has to do with the self. I think building up, and of course, setting those comfortable boundaries within the relationship, but you really want to be secure within yourself.
Set those boundaries so that there's no surprises, you know, 2 years, 4 years into the relationship and be like, oh, I didn't know you didn't like ketchup and mustard on your hot dogs.
Yeah.
You know, it's over now. So, you know, this, you know, I know I make light of this situation, but realistically, if you don't set boundaries in your relationship, I mean, I'm talking about hard ones, like men, if you don't want your wives to be working, stuff like that. You need to have those, you need to address those situations first before you all get married.
Or partying.
Or partying, like, you know, girls' trips. You know, if you're going to stand for girls' trips, you know, early in your marriage or relationship, what makes you think it's going to stop? You can have a heart to heart. You need to, and let them know that it's affecting you or whatever the case may be.
Assertive.
Right.
Heart to heart. I think in particular, you got to be assertive, especially with your boundaries. Don't let nobody tell you, you know, oh, you being too sensitive, or oh, your boundaries are your boundaries.
Right.
And you
it's
need
what
to know
put
them.
Up with and what you won't. I'm not saying that everybody, you know, you can't tailor people just for you. You can't make people change. That's the bottom line. You can only inspire change, and people to who are receptive to that really love you. So especially if it's detrimental, what they're doing, if their actions are detrimental to the relationship, they will make changes, but those changes are going to occur with themselves, and they're only going to make those changes on themselves only.
Yeah, and they should want to work with you.
Right.
That's real love. Real love is when that person is willing to pull up a seat and figure out a solution and work with you.
So in her relationship, it would look like the guy saying, "I'm sorry." Also, I should have stopped communicating with my ex. And I'm going to this day, I'm going to do that and hold me accountable for that. And I appreciate, you know, you and I accept your apology, you know, yourself for reaching out to her when I told you not to do that. So, you know, let's make this understanding, this agreement today that we're both going to focus on our relationship and our relationship only.
Yeah.
And that's the way that they can rebound from this if the intentions are there. But
The mature way to rebound. Yeah.
Right.
But you know,
Maturity's got to be there. That's what I was saying. Relationships ain't for the immature.
and we got a maturity show too. So if you want
Mhm.
to go back and find that video, it's up there. And share that and like it and let people know that it's there. I mean, we're laying out, this is the theme of the show, the blueprint. So Blueprint Family Jewels, this is what it's all about, so that we can take the guessing game out of family and relationships
Mhm.
and things out of like that, of that nature. So if there's any
Yep.
topic that you're looking for, we more than likely probably do have it.
Yeah,
I'm not
or
trying
we
to-
can cover it.
Right, or we can cover it. So with that being said, anybody got any topics, anything that they wanted to discuss briefly while we're here?
Yeah. Thank
And-
y'all for tuning
I guess we
in
don't-
live. A lot of viewers on our Instagram,
Right.
YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you all for joining in every night. What's tonight? Tonight is Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Tuesday night. Preseason football. I'm back. I'm happy that football's back.
yes, you are.
Yeah.
Go Steelers.
Yep, I'm a Steelers fan. So everybody out there, if you all know where to find us, you all have any questions, please. And also too, you can submit the questions anonymously at www.wifeconomics.com/submit a question. So you don't have to put your name up there or anything like that. You can just make up stuff. And if there's something burning,
Yeah.
if you have a burning question that you really want to ask us and want to remain anonymous, please do so.
Yeah.
And we will cover it as a topic for our show.
Yeah.
If it's appropriate.
Yep, if appropriate. Yep.
Yeah. Or if we can find a way to make it general for everybody to learn from it too. That's the real reason why we take the questions and do it, because truth be told, a lot of these relationship things are common within a lot of different relationships. So a lot of people can relate to it or understand it or see where you're coming from, or at least be able to draw some type of experience for themselves to turn into wisdom for their own life. So it's really why we do this. So
Yep.
Thank y'all for tuning in for sure.
Yep. Thank you all. And we will see you all tomorrow night, same time, same place. You all have a wonderful night. Peace.
Yeah, let's see.